Wow, this is incredible. I am so glad to see you here. For the past 14 months that I've been mayor, I've been making such a great effort to reclaim the history of this city. When your ancestors, along with Thomas Hooker, came here, they declared this city to be, or they called these lands upon which they came, the House of Good Hope. And it couldn't have been a more inspiring theme as we commemorated the events of 9/11. The fact that hope continues to play such an important part of the American dream. We have in the last 14 months, as a way of dealing with our current problems, in the current crisis, the economic crisis of the city, of the state, and of this nation, to try to go back into our roots, into the roots of the city, because we know that that is what can make our city strong, looking towards the future. I think that Mr. Talcott and Mr. Hooker and their progeny, what they created here in Hartford once they came here from Massachusetts, was way too incredible for us to even acknowledge and appreciate. These were the settlers who conceptualized the idea that religion and government did not have to be two separate entities, but that they can jointly work together to create a better circumstance for themselves, their families, and for their future families. The whole notion that it was here in Hartford where the concept of a representative democracy came alive should all make you feel very, 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 very proud. I mean, because I think that as future generations perfected that concept of democracy, to the point that even months ago, countries that have for thousands of years lived as didn't know the concept of democracy, and that places like Egypt, who would have ever thought, and there's a whirlwind, a renewed whirlwind, and a new energy of democracy as a guiding concept for countries that has reemerged. So these were men and women that were very, 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 very far ahead of their times. And as I look at the history of Mr. Talcott and Mr. Hooker, the excitement that they sort of went through in their countries prior to leaving, I think made them realize when they were here that they had the opportunity to create something new, something that has not been tried before, something that can really launch mankind and womankind and our society and a world into a new path. So it is so incredible that you have come together as a group, because in hope, I'm a man of faith, as was our founders. There were people of faith, and I think that the real true hope that can really instill an ability in us to move into the future with some firmness is that we can come closer together as a people. And I think that the closer that we come together as a people, the closer that we come to God, and the closer that we come to God, the more hope there is for our humanity. So I'm just so thrilled, and I have speaking points, and I think I've already said a speech. 376 years. That's how long we've been here. It's a long time. Our city has gone through ups and downs, but I think that every time that we're feeling down, we need to really reach out to you, and I'm just so thrilled that you have all journeyed from different places to be here today. When your ancestor Talcott came here from Warwickshire, is that the way to pronounce it? Sometimes my English, the Spanish part of me just gets a little bit more. Although I must tell you that last year for the 375th anniversary, I dressed up as Thomas Hooker, and I had my wig, and I had my rimmed hat, and I had my whole Thomas Hooker. There's a nice picture in the Current except that my nephew came up to me the day afterwards and say, "Uncle, why are you dressed up as the oatmeal man?" I said, "It's not the oatmeal man, I'm Thomas Hooker." And he says, "Thomas who?" And I had to explain to him the whole reason. And Mr. Talcott, I'm just trying to get a visual, because my family's history in our hometown was very similar to the history of your ancestors. They lived upon some other lands. They wanted independence from the Spanish government, and they sort of rebelled, and the Spanish government came very strongly upon them, to the point that they felt very threatened. They had to run up into what was called the Indian lands, because it was mostly Indians that resided in these mountains, and that's where they basically stood and grew as a community. And now we sort of get together as a family to try to honor them. So I have that same similarity with you, and also the other similarity is that the men and the women that would go there, they also saw it as a place where they can go to think together in sort of an isolation. So a lot of men and women from the region that were intellects would go up to this mountain, because this you have to really like get an idea where I was born. It's like way up in this mountain. It's like one of the highest mountains of Puerto Rico. They say that the cows and the goats have emergency brakes, so that they just don't slide off the mountains. But it's an incredible place, so I share that with you, and I think there's a passion in our family to honor our roots, and I'm glad to see that that you're here. And a lot of people, as a Latino man, my family is from Puerto Rico. Oftentimes when I go and I do the celebrations and honor your ancestors as my own, people sort of think that that's a little bit disconnected. And I try to explain to them that that I am who I am, and that my country is what it is because of the strong influence that your ancestors had as a community. My cousin, who's an attorney, was summoned to go to our hometown because there were historical records there, and they thought that a lot of them were land deeds, and she worked for the department of the equivalent of what would be the big state zoning department, land records. So she went there, and when she went there, she found out that a lot of what was there in terms of documents were notes and minutes from meetings that were held at this, what really should have been the first university in Puerto Rico. And she drew reference to one particular document that called her attention. And in that document, it says, it was an invitation to the other members of this group, and it says, we anxiously await the arrival of Dr. Ramón Emeterio Betances, who will be arriving from Paris. And he plans to bring with him the greatest and biggest collection known to us yet of the commentaries upon democracy and the constitutional development and freedom, more specifically commentaries as to the role of Connecticut in that development. So to think that people in the 1850s in Puerto Rico were talking about Hartford, Connecticut, if that is not enough to make you, really connected, I mean, what is? So I'm grateful that you're here. You need to keep on getting together. You need to keep on growing, because you are the descendants of one of the greatest men that stepped foot upon this country after, the European colonization, that really stood for the right things. And one of those things couldn't be bigger than our ability to worship, but at the same time to work with one another to govern in a way that is done in a democratic style. So I welcome you here. It is a privilege and pleasure to have you in this building. This is your building. I wonder how far, I don't know if we have the original plots. You might want to stop, and I don't know if you can, at the Hartford room, at the Hartford Public Library. And I felt so strongly about our historical documents that were being kept here. We were not doing such a good job at protecting them. and I knew that they needed to be protected. So what we did is we've invested a lot of money in a state-of-the-art Hartford Public Library. There is a room that's called the Hartford Room, and we tendered to them all of our historical documents dating back to 1636. I'm sure that amongst those documents, you would see original documents bearing the signatures of your great ancestor, Mr. Talcott. It's really fascinating. I'm so moved by history that it's just incredible. But I again welcome you, and I thank you. And I have a couple of presentations that I would like to make. And I just want to present this to the Talcott family. Just get close here so we can have the mic. I've prepared an official citation on behalf of the city of Hartford, and it is your city. You helped to found it, so be it hereby known, and I present this to the Talcott family, be it hereby known that I hereby offer my sincerest congratulations in recognition of your family reunion celebration of 375 years in Hartford, Connecticut, and 379 years in America. We appreciate and thank you for choosing our city as a place to gather and reconnect with family and friends. I, Pedro Segarra, Mayor of the City of Hartford, along with the Court of Common Council and the citizens of Hartford, extend greetings for having this family reunion, congratulate you on your celebration, and may your time together in family be memorable and a reason to rejoice. Thank you so much. And I have this little basket of things here. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Segarra, this is a booklet that I prepared for our family reunion. It has some of the history of John Talcott. We originated, yes, in Warwickshire, England, but actually John Talcott was born and raised in Braintree and came from there to what is now Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the vicinity of Harvard University. And some of the other Talcotts, his sons, and Joseph Talcott, who was the first Connecticut-born governor of the colony or state of Connecticut, and some of the other information about our family. This was a dream that started with me back in about 2000 when I really was into the research and was awed by the history of John Talcott and our family, and I said, we have to go to Hartford someday for a reunion. So I explained my dream in here of coming, and we have 17 states represented in our group from across America. So not only are we celebrating the 2 anniversaries, but we're also celebrating the first national reunion of Talcotts, and it took place in Hartford.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And also, a commemorative pin that we have for, I didn't take it out. If you want me to, I will.
Absolutely. We have
Sarah? This is Sarah Barr. She was my contact for the mayor's office, and I appreciate so much for her help in arranging our meeting. I'm not used to doing this, you know. I do things for my wife.
Thank you so much. And this is the fruit of your ancestors, and it is our official city pin. And do we have enough for all our research?
75 of those.
75? Okay, great.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
So we'll put this here in your lapel. You know, it is just so incredible. Backwards. The journeys that were taken by your ancestors. I mean, just imagine. Just imagine, you know, these ships. I'm sure that you might have gotten to see some replicas of what these ships look like. To sail an entire ocean. And it's not like they were given or had the means of getting the latest of the fleet back even in those days. So it is just amazing. But, you know, to run away from something is one thing, but to run towards something with a sense of conviction of what you want your destiny to be, that's what really makes all of you really impressive, to be able to reclaim that
I'm
past.
impressed with their faith.
Yes.
You know, they did run away from persecution, but with their faith they came here.
Yes.
And as you said, when you see the replica of those ships, that 126, I believe, were on board, and they all came, and it was noted in SV Talcott that none of them were sick when they arrived, and that was a miracle as well.
Absolutely.
Because some of the other ships, they would have lost people along the way, but all of them were delivered here safely. And it just, it is amazing, and it's inspiring that we have, you know, we can continue that. And I think, I don't know about all of us, but in many of us, we have that same desire. It's in us. It's like it's in our blood. We want to do this. I wanted to also point out that in our group, in public service in the past, standing behind the cameraman is Gigi Talcott. Her husband is Ron Talcott, who's sitting right here to your left. And Gigi was a former representative from the state of Washington to the State House. And Ron's father, when he lived in California, was 14 years a U.S. congressman.
Wow.
So
it's in...
And your dad is what, 94? 91.
So it is ingrained into your DNA.
And our oldest gentleman over here, longest living, I'll say, is 94.
94 and a half. 95 next year.
And as far as we know, our longest living is John Talcott II. He lives in Plymouth, Massachusetts. We're hoping will be with us tomorrow. He's got a little bit of pneumonia, and he is 103 plus. He was born in February.
So let's have good genes too.
Yes. That's how the Lord has blessed us.
Thank you. And it is a blessing to have you in our city. Again, thank you. We have how many of you have seen Talcott Mountain? It's just I don't know, it's a spectacular place, especially in the fall when the leaves change. It's just so spectacular. But this is probably a good time for those of you who can to take a hike up to the tower. It's an impressive place, and you could really see most of the. You can see out on a clear day. You can see all the way out to Massachusetts. It'll be a great experience.
They tell us that we are doing more in 5 days than some people have lived their lifetime here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You look at the schedule, we've been moving.
That's good, and I know that you're going to continue to grow more than you've grown since your initial arrival here. We had a representative from the Hooker family last year, and I don't know if they're doing anything similar, but it would be interesting if they were to start an effort. You know how they're descended. I don't think that they were as productive as the Talcotts, or reproductive. Again, thank you so much for being here.